Hi, Counselor Nolan. We're just going to start in a few minutes. Could you also just speak for a second so we can do a mic test? I want to see if we can hear you.
Hello, everyone. Good to see you all.
Okay, thank you. Did that one work too? Thank you so much. That's so helpful, Counselor.
We're gonna work through some quick logistics here, but we're very excited to see everyone joining us. Second, as we figure out their own thing. Thank you. We started the recording. I am going to declare quorum in Paul Metro Council. Order. I will now ask our clerk, Georgia Linger, to my left, to call roll for attendance. Georgia.
Absolutely. 1 second. Sorry. We'll do this. Counselor Rosendahl,
Present.
Counselor Simpson, Counselor Palacios, Counselor Lewis, present, Counselor Wong, Counselor Nolan,
Present.
and Council President Gonzalez.
Present. Thank you. Very nice. We have, item here for public communication. Folks, just, to heads up, our agenda does not include public comment on non-agenda items. I know that we have, several folks in attendance who would like to speak on behalf of the resolutions on the docket today. We welcome those comments absolutely, and you will have an opportunity after each presentation for those who wish to speak. In the meantime, if you would like to comment, you can fill out a blue card, and bring it up the staff to get a list. Andrew, our deputy CFO, just on the up here, if you would like to sign up for public comment, and then make sure to get it to Georgia. We will also take testimony by Zoom and will provide instructions as needed during meeting. We will do that briefly. Should we do that now, Georgia?
The testimony? Yeah.
Public comment on agenda items?
Yes, I believe we are only taking public comment on agenda items today. Sorry.
Oh, okay. Okay, thank you. So, quick opening remarks for me. I want to say thank you to North Clackamas Parks and Recreation District for hosting us at this beautiful facility. It's my first time here, and it's very exciting for the council to have the opportunity to approve $26 million grant awards for a range of community identified nature priorities, including bond-funded nature and neighborhood capital grants, bond-funded community choice grants, levy-funded nature and neighborhoods restoration and stewardship grants, and of course, the large-scale community vision awards. Earlier this summer, we received briefings about the recommendations from the external review committees for the nature and neighborhood grant programs, and about the community-led process to submit, prioritize, and identify projects for the community choice and grants program. A week ago, the council met to determine the final allocation for this round of large-scale community visions as well. Today, we have John Blasher, our Parks and Nature Director, as well as Parks and Nature Grants Program Managers, plus grant recipients, who will provide a brief presentation about each of these grant awards and their impact on communities of our beautiful region. There's been a lot of work leading up to this milestone, and this is definitely a moment to celebrate. Metro, we want to thank everyone in the room, and also those not in the room, for your vision, for your intention, for your hard work, for your collaboration, your advocacy that led to this moment. And I invite everyone to stay for lunch after this meeting as well, which will hopefully be around noon. Okay. We're going to open our first resolution item here. Resolution number 26-5579 for the purpose of approving funding for nature and neighborhoods capital grants. Our Parks and Nature Director, John Blasher, will present and be available for each presentation questions. John, I'll look to you to make introductory remarks as we discuss that, please. And for this resolution, we also have Krista Gardner, who is the Capital Grants Program Manager. Together, they will make up our presentation.
Thank you, Council President Gonzalez, special councilors. Krista Gardner and our whole grants program team and committee partners in the council. Consideration of $26 million. Bonds, levy funding. Today's grants also built and also builds on over 100 million to date. They've been awarded to partners from the bond grants, trails planning, construction, local share, many other portions. This is a significant milestone as we look ahead to the majority of the spending. We're really excited to be here today. It's an opportunity to bring forward a request for action on priority bonds and grant programs. As the President mentioned, from the Nature Neighborhoods Capital Grants, Nature Neighborhoods Choice Grants, plus our Nature Neighborhoods Levy Grants for stewardship and restoration, and large scale community visions program. As a reminder, Metro Council set the policy direction for these programs and the bond and levy measures, which include aspirations for the impact these grant programs can make, helping to realize community priorities. The bond criteria and levy desired outcomes around climate, equity, engagement, accessibility are also embedded in projects and programs. The council referred the 2019 bond and 2020 Metro Council included aspirations about piloting participatory methods and being innovative, and leveraging nature uplift to achieve other regional outcomes around housing and transportation. It's a tall order for implementation, and I want to give major kudos to our team for continued innovation and finding ways to implement these council values, taking lessons learned from each grant site. A few examples. I look at the no wrong door approach. Working as a team to find the most appropriate grants for each potential applicants, also helping to move applicants for levy, bond grants. We worked on adjusting match to find ratios allowed for the most applications. We improved community engagement, our community choice grants, first round to the second round. In the process, almost doubled the number of finalists cast. I want to acknowledge that many of the grants processes that you're awarding today have been complicated and involved, and there are more projects and funding available. And appreciate council's careful consideration of these recommendations in this statement. I will also be conducting some evaluations in these programs. I continue to apply lessons learned to any future grant rounds, future levy, bonds, measures. So you're going to hear now from 5 program managers. Some of our program managers have guests who will also speak on that. So we'll just hear from Krista Gardner, Gabrielle Brown, Carissa Lowe, Shannon Leary, Linda Martinez. We'll be calling this out each up for the different specific resolutions. That we're excited to ask to Krista.
Krista, before you get started, pause and go to Councilor Nolan. I see you have your hand up. Councilor?
I'm sorry. Yes, thank you. I'm sorry to interrupt, but the audio is very broken up. I would request that speakers get a little closer to the microphone, please.
Thank you, Councilor Nolan. Hurry, trying to enforce that the best you can in the meeting. Krista?
Good morning, Metro Council President Gonzalez and Metro Councilors. My name is Krista Gardner, the Nature and Neighborhoods Capital Grants Manager. As a reminder, the Nature and Neighborhoods Capital Grants Program, Metro will provide up to $40 million for grants funding community-led projects that protect and improve water quality and fish and wildlife habitats, support climate resiliency, and increase people's experience of nature at a scale. This grant program is really designed to engage community groups as well as nonprofit organizations, schools, park providers, soil and water conservation districts, and other groups that build partnership around meeting local needs. And next slide, please. As a reminder, there are 2 pieces of this program. One is the Nature and Neighborhoods Capital Grants Program, which awarded an initial round of $11.5 million since 2023. These 3-year grants are available from $100,000 to $2 million. And grant review committee members are selected through an open recruitment process, and they review applications and make recommendations for council approval. The recommended projects from the grant, as Lester mentioned, must meet the bond legal requirements to result in a publicly owned capital asset and address bond criteria and program goals, which is as stated in the Nature and Neighborhoods Capital Grants Handbook. And this will come forward to you today under Resolution 2657. The second is the Nature and Neighborhoods Community Choice Grants, which uses a community-centered process to create meaningful opportunities, and awarded $200 million in Washington County in 2024, and up to $3 million in recommendations coming before you today in Resolution 265881. So to tell you a little bit more about the impact of this program is Kathy, Kelly, and Charles to talk about the Kelly Creek Dam removal. Next slide, please.
Kathy Sheeran. I'm with the East Moldova Soil and Water Conservation District. And first of all, I just want to say thank you for having us here, and I'm really excited to share this project with you all. Metro has been an amazing partner through the years. We started this project roughly 10 years ago. And with the generous help of Metro, we kickstarted projects that would start to transform the college and go parking lot by parking lot to improve water quality and drain the two creeks that confluence on campus there. Next slide. One thing to, so, in the slide, you'll see there's blue boxes at the edges of the property there. So the Mount Hood Community College campus is in yellow, and Metro has managed the property, owns and manages the property, the natural area, the 5X campus. The four blue boxes the three blue boxes at the edges of that shaded out area are all culverts that have been replaced so that they are fish passable. And so now the very last barrier is this dam. And so that is why we're here today is coming to y'all and working on removing that last dam. Next slide. That last barrier. This is what the pond currently looks like. It's, as you can imagine, this is a lot of heat hits that water and basically heats up the water so that when it comes out the other side of the creek, it raises the temperature so hot that it's lethal to salmon. And so we're really excited to not only be improving water quality and water temperature, but also engaging with students on campus. And with that, I'll pass it to Kelly. She's up there now.
Morning, everybody. My name is Charles George. I'm associate. So it's not that, and I just want to share in gratitude that Kathy was talking about. Metro has long been amazing partners with Mount Hood Community College for many years, and that especially worked on that Beaver Kelly Creek corridor and maintaining nature areas. So I just want to say thank you again for all the support you've all given, and appreciate all the consideration you've given and the tour time that you took. So our team has had over a decade of working together, building the vision of what we wanted to complete after at the college. And we started with a lot of smaller projects that we could work on together, and with support of Metro, we were able to do a lot of those. I don't think we talked about it a lot, but in 2017, the actions that we have with less chemical usage and how we work with the campus, we were able to achieve Salmon Safe certification in 2017, the first community college to do so. So we're very excited about that as well. With this project, in addition to the environmental impacts, there's going to be increased accessibility for our students and community members, and just a lot of interconnection to the communities. We're very excited.
Good morning, for the record, Kelly Beamer, Executive Director of East Multnomah Soil and Water Conservation District. I just want to close us out. Next slide. You see up there, the vision of a future living river corridor and Mount Hood Community College. This is an area that's a priority investment area for our district at East Multnomah. Our board has voted to allocate over $1 million over the last 3 years to get this project into motion because it's going to have a transformative impact on water quality. As Kathy said, salmon passage. It creates a living laboratory for students that are going through the fisheries program at Mount Hood Community College. You're going to hear from one of those students later today, and really equips them with hands-on experience, and really is training our future leaders that are going to be sitting at this very table that are going through this college program. And lastly, it expands on cool, accessible places for the community members in the surrounding neighborhoods of Mount Hood Community College to have opportunities for a trail. This capitalized asset is on the trajectory to be complete by 2029. We have wind in our sails thanks to Metro and other funders. You see a beautiful vision of the future ADA accessible viewing point where right now you have a trail that is not accessible, will be transformed into a community asset. So with your help, we're moving forward. And I just want to thank you. This builds on 2 other nature neighborhoods capital investments that Metro has made in the last 10 years. One being clean water retrofit that we just did with all of the parking lots. It's a huge hot spot for stormwater runoff. So there was a 2024 grant for $260,000 that you all were critical to advance, as well as going back to 2016 with the Sandy River Basin Council receiving a grant of almost $500,000 to look at the confluence of the creeks on the campus and do really initiate the retrofit work. So thank you for this third capital investment, and we appreciate and happy to answer any questions you have. Oh, Brett, this is just a slide to show you some of the fish surveys that are ongoing through the fisheries program and the natural resources. This really creates this touch point with students that is unique to this community college. And we've heard from students, it gives them a real leg up to have this hands-on experience.
Thank you so much for presenting. Next slide, please. Thanks to all of the community members and partner organizations who have shaped the Nature Neighborhoods Capital Grants Program, and especially this 4th round of grants. Many of these folks are here in person or joining us virtually. The review committee, which is shown on this slide in a site visit, met first on February 27th, attended site visits on May 1st and May 8th, and deliberated on May 15th to create a recommendation for the Metro Council that is before you today in resolution 265779 with 8 proposals for full grant awards totaling $9.8 million. And I'll walk you through the recommended projects over the next few slides. Next slide. The Evergreen Park Nature Play Area is a project that proposes to develop an accessible off-trail nature play area at Evergreen Park. It features natural fallen trees, exposed root wads, snags, native vegetation, access to water through a water table, native soil, sand, rocks, and logs. Next slide. The Milwaukee Bay Park Nature Enhancements will provide important enhancements for cooling and naturally improved water quality. Amenities include a natural amphitheater, nature-based play area, splash pad, and increased tree canopy, all in a diverse, walkable neighborhood. Next slide. The Clackamat Park restoration will transform 2.26 acres of underutilized parkland at Clackamat Park into resilient natural space with improved river access. This project will remove and replace the existing RV park with open lawn space, river access, pathways, and native plantings. Next slide. The Helen Althouse Park and Trail restoration will improve access, reduce the buildup of wood debris and ground fuels, improve the health of a beautiful stand of mature western red cedars, and mitigate the spread of invasive plants and replant natives that promote bird and insect biodiversity. Next slide. The Tualatin Riverfront Park and Trail project restores 6 acres along the Tualatin River, removing invasive species, replanting native vegetation, and enhancing wildlife habitat. It provides inclusive river access, walking and biking connections, and educational opportunities, creating a resilient, nature-rich space that benefits the community. Next slide. The Markham Nature Park Restoration Project will restore and enhance 20 acres within the Markham Nature Park, a 200-acre urban natural area with extensive trails and heavy public use. Next slide. The Kellogg Dam Removal and Restoration Project, as you heard earlier, is a cornerstone project that will leverage and amplify decades of investment in the Sandy River watershed by restoring habitat, increasing climate resilience, and reconnecting people with a forgotten stream. Next slide. The World Forestry Center Plaza is meant to renovate its campus into a welcoming year-round community space that strengthens access to nature and connection across Washington Park. The project will replace an extensive hardscape in the central plaza with native and culturally significant landscaping, incorporate flexible gathering spaces, art, and interpretive features that integrate Indigenous traditional ecological knowledge and regional ecology. The project also includes wayfinding and restored trail connections that link the campus directly to the Markham Trail, the Hoyt Arboretum, surrounding park, as well as the Max and the zoo. Next slide. Thank you so much, Metro Council, for your consideration of Resolution 265779. And at this point, we're welcome to take any questions, including for the East Multnomah Soil and Water Conservation District and Mount Hood Community College.
Great. Wow. So what a wonderful set of projects. Council, do we have any questions for our presenters or staff? Okay, seeing no one, Councilor Wong? I think it's on.
Thank you, President Gonzalez. Just a quick question. This capital grant program requires a match, is that correct? Do you have a figure of how much match to advance on these great projects?
Yeah, it's a 2-to-1 match. So for $9.8 million, it's at least $5 million. But I don't know. I'd have to go and look to see whether it was actually more than that.
Thanks, great question. Okay, seeing no other counselors signaling for a question or comment, we will now open up council to receive public comment from folks in the audience. Georgia, if you could please read the procedure for signing up online and also review our in-person signups. And thank you to our in-person presenters, Community College as well for joining us. Georgia.
Yes. If you are here to testify on resolution number 26-5579 for the purpose of approving funding for nature and neighborhoods capital grants, now is the time to do so. If you're testifying in person, please sign up by filling out a blue card in the corner of this U shape and bringing it up to me. If you are testifying on Zoom or by phone, please sign up by using the raise hand function in the reactions or more menus or by dialing *9. When it is your turn to testify, I'll call on your name or phone number. For those on Zoom, click accept to be promoted to a panelist. Testimony is going to be limited to 2 minutes today, and the timer begins when you begin speaking. Please state your name for the record before testifying. You do not need to give your physical address. Okay, so I'm looking, it looks like there are no folks who are going to be testifying on this agenda item. Perfect. Awesome. And what is your name? Wonderful. Perfect. Yeah, you're welcome to come on up and you can use the microphone, and it should be on.
Should I start now?
Yes, 1 second. I'm just getting the timer. Okay, you're welcome to go.
Okay, my name is Bridget Brooks. I live in Tualatin, Oregon. I'm a city councilor in Tualatin, and I just wanted to thank the body for the award for the Nature and Neighborhood Grant. Historically, in many different ways, Tualatin has been a little bit underserved and underrepresented geographically. I've worked on that with housing and also with other climate related and engagement related issues. We are a city that has a climate action plan with a climate action plan manager, which we're very proud of. And I feel very fortunate to have Councilor Rosenthal working with me
often to discuss how we can move forward in helping our downtown redevelopment be community centered and climate friendly. This park addition is going to help a lot. We're the only city whose downtown is right on the Johnson River basin, in the whole basin. Although you wouldn't know it from looking at it because how it was developed in the past. So our community really wants a different way, and this way forward is going to help center access and a more climate friendly way to access the water. I also want to say from the perspective of the board member of the Charles River Keepers, we seek to educate and get people on the river so that we take better care of the river. So we appreciate that as well. And also for all the people that have been working on our downtown redevelopment, we've had community engagement from all corners of our community. So as far as impact, it will impact not only our city, but it will also impact all the people that want to utilize the river from all over the region. I usually bring people from the city because it's one of the safest rivers to paddle. So I appreciate your work very much. I appreciate the conversation and all the metro counselors supportive of our project. Thank you. And thanks to our staff too.
Thank you, Councilman. Appreciate it.
Yes, thank you, Counselor. I do not believe we have any other folks who have signed to testify on this agenda item. Seeing a lot for large scale community vision, so please let me know.
Great. All right. Thank you, Georgia. All right. Seeing no further public comments, council, I will call for a motion on resolution number 25-5579.
Move to adopt resolution 26-5579.
Thank you. It's 25, but I guess.
No, 26.
Oh,
26.
Sorry, my notes are wrong. It's 26. 26-5579. Okay. Can I get a second, please? All right, so we have moved by Councilor Rosenthal, seconded by Councilor Simpson. Councilor, any additional discussion or question, conversation on the table? Okay, seeing none, Georgia, if you please call the roll.
Yes, Counselor Palacios,
Yes.
Counselor Simpson,
Aye.
Counselor Rosenthal,
Aye.
Counselor Lewis,
Aye.
Counselor Wong.
Aye.
And Counselor Nolan,
Yes,
and Council President Gonzalez.
Aye, thank you. The resolution is adopted unanimously, and these projects will receive funding from the Metro Parks and Leisure Farm. Congratulations. A lot of hard work went into that, gentlemen. Thank you. All right, council, we have two resolutions that will have a joint presentation for here. And they will be covering the grant proposals on those fronts. In addition to John and Krista, we are going to be joined by Gabrielle Brown, our other capital grants program manager. Talk about resolution number 26-5581 for the purpose of improving nature and neighborhoods choice grants, and resolution number 26-5625 for the purpose of approving funding for protect and restore land, community-led acquisition grants.
Yours. Thank you, President Gonzalez. Again, John Blasher, I am Parks and Nature Director, joined by Krista Gardner, Gabrielle Brown, and I believe Shannon Leary will be coming up and joining as well to hear about, as you mentioned, resolution 26-5581 and resolution 26-5625 for community choice grants and the community choice grants community-led acquisition. Protect and restore. A lot of feedback. I don't know if that's me. It's clearly me, because I'm the only one speaking. With that, then I will pass it to Gabrielle.
Again, Krista Gardner, Nature and Neighborhoods Capital Grants Program Manager and the co-project manager for the community choice grants.
Morning, councilors. I'm Gabrielle Brown, she, her, and I'm the program manager for the Nature Neighborhoods Community Choice Grants and Regional Trails Grants. I'm honored to be here today to present the second round of Community Choice Grants in Clackamas County for funding Metro Council through resolution 26-5581. As Krista mentioned, the Community Choice Grants is a pilot program for capital grants that uses the novel participatory process that empowers community members to submit their own project ideas, develop those ideas, ultimately select which projects put forward for funding. As a sub-program for the Nature Neighborhoods Capital Grants, Community Choice Grants has the same funding structure as the capital grants, uses the same purpose, principles, and criteria set out in the 2019 bond. Next slide, please. So what makes the Community Choice Grants different is the process. Over 15 months, we've engaged in a collaborative, community-based effort to identify, develop, and select parks and nature capital projects that we're presenting here today. This process began last spring with idea collection, where community members submitted over 170 project ideas for consideration. After vetting those project ideas with partner staff to ensure baseline feasibility, as well as alignments with 2019 bond and capital criteria. Over 80 projects were then developed over a series of public community design workshops where partner staff, subject area experts, and Metro funded designers helped community members refine and develop project ideas in their communities. Through these workshops and a preliminary vote, 32 projects, all worthy themselves, were selected to fill out the final vote ballot. And this past spring, over 2 months, community members cast almost 3,200 votes on a ranked choice ballot to decide which projects put before the review committee for their recommendation to council, which I will present momentarily. Next slide. So before we celebrate the projects, I want to take a moment to thank the people who showed up, who talked to us, who submitted project ideas, who sat down with us to develop project ideas, and who cast votes to select the best parks of nature idea projects for their communities. The program doesn't work without people, but every effort into reaching as many folks with many different backgrounds and life ways as possible. So among our many tools, you can see some of them here. We built an all-new digital platform to make the whole program more accessible, where folks can follow the projects, view maps, fill out surveys, and vote. We dug deeper into our equity criteria to identify underserved communities in Clackamas County. We brought in more geographically specific nature-based organizations, watershed councils, and conservation organizations to build capacity and provide local expertise. We moved from large centralized events to smaller, more frequent tabling opportunities to increase community touchpoints. We leveraged existing venues and advisory boards to access local community and arts expertise and ensure active participation. We conducted wider direct outreach and focused engagement with representatives of unique communities for those projects and bring valuable new perspectives to all projects. And the results of these efforts, compared with the first round, which was also really successful, we still nearly doubled submissions, doubled community touch points, workshop attendance, and votes, all while delivering the program at a significantly lower cost to taxpayers. And with about 1,500 votes in the fall and almost 3,200 votes in the final vote, it's actually been one of the most successful participatory programs of its size in the country. So, thank you to everybody. So now, speaking of the incredible support we received from the community, I would like to introduce Franklin Ochita, who gave extensively of his time and energy, along with other members of the Oregon Wheelchair Hikers organization, who joined us at community events throughout this process to work with other community members to make their projects more accessible to folks with all abilities. And we've invited him here to tell us a little bit about his experience and success.
Hi, everybody. Thank you so much. Thank you, council, our partners that we worked on this, the neighbors, and my friends. I am a member of Oregon Wheelchair Hikers. That's what we do, is we get people with mobility devices out in the nature. And I just wanted to celebrate that this participatory group was so, I was so involved in the very beginning of everything. They included us in everything about accessibility, as well as they took all our ideas and were able to really feel like we were inclusive and we were impacted in this process. And the true thing is that we use their lived experience to actually tell, because actually we go out every week to go out wheelchair hiking. It brings out the neighborhood of people that don't normally get out into those neighborhoods. And those lived experiences are very important to actually know exactly what the different needs are to the community. We had some real powerful stories. We had one person explain that a safer, smoother trails, changed everything for them. They were blind and they were really afraid to go out, but when we explained that we're going to make things accessible with a lot of improvements, they were really happy that they were actually able to get out in nature. As well as people with accessibility problems with mobility devices, it was very important that they listened to us on getting out, making trails more accessible, more smoother, more safer. They felt more comfortable. So some of those experiences were very important. I'm really excited about some of the accessibility improvements that we're going to make. And it's just one of those things that was really important to actually include this the disability community in this, because we are important and more people are going to be disabled because of just the demographics. Right now, 25% of all Floridians are identify as disabled. So I'm really proud that we got so many votes. I was at every meeting I could possibly be at, and it was very fun to actually see other people's ideas and the improvements that they really wanted to do. And not just mobility devices, so families with strollers and older adults and neighbors that just simply don't want to go through barriers or walk a lot of stairs. It was important to bring it to those meetings where it was very important. So these projects means a lot more to me than the average person, because I do go out every week. I do bring a whole bunch of people in. We run into problems at other parks. So it's very important that we make Clackamas County one of the really shining areas of parks. So I just wanted to express that I really enjoyed the whole process, and I hope we can do this again. It was very important to bring the community in and actually make the decisions that they wanted to have done and things like that. I think it will resonate through the community. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks, Franklin. I really have been a pleasure to have your experience. That's awesome. They follow the project better. All right, so now let's talk about these amazing projects. And yes, I'm talking fast. We have 23 projects. So based on the vote outcome, a review committee of local community members and subject area experts from local watershed councils and conservation districts met and developed the following recommendation to Metro Council to award $3 million in grants to fund 23 projects in Clackamas County that increase climate resilience and access to nature for our residents and guests. These grants will fund 7 projects in the city of Milwaukee, 7 projects in Oregon City, 3 projects in the city of Gladstone, 4 projects from North Clackamas Parks and Recreation District, and 2 additional projects, 1 each for Clackamas River Water and for Clackamas County Water Environment Services. And now it's my pleasure to present the 23 projects recommended for funding. Next slide.
It's buffering.
So first is access to Minthorn wetlands. This project will improve access to wetlands with new connections and signage highlighting the site's ecological value and cultural history to the city of Milwaukee. Next. Next is accessible naturescape at 70th and Monroe to North Clackamas Parks and Recreation District to support the creation of a new community park, including skatable elements integrated into a park setting with native plantings and green stormwater infrastructure. Next. Accessible river experience at Clackamas, Oregon City to improve accessibility and create a scenic riverfront path with seating, art, and interpretive features at the river confluence. Next. Adaptive river access at Riverside Park to Clackamas River Water to create an accessible river access point with improved habitat and paths for people of all abilities at Riverside Park. Next. Educational pollinator garden to Oregon City to create a habitat area with native plants and features to support pollinators and wildlife. Next. Habitat restoration at Spring Park to Milwaukee to restore habitat for removing invasive species, planting native vegetation, and improving forest health and trail conditions. Next. Inclusive nature play at Rivercrest to Oregon City to enhance an inclusive play area with nature play features accessible paths, and seating for family and caregivers. Next. Inclusive nature play and shade them. Oregon City to enhance the playground with shade trees, rain gardens, and native plantings to support pollinators, manage stormwater, and create a more comfortable play environment. Indigenous art at the mouth of the Clackamas to Oregon City to celebrate the cultural significance of the river confluence through art installations and interpretive signage. Next. Meltram Bar restoration to Gladstone to restore river habitat and trails, seating, and interpretive signage to connect people with rivers ecology and cultural history. Next. Milwaukee neighborhood swift roost to Milwaukee to preserve swift habitat by protecting a roosting chimney, adding native plantings, and supporting a cherished community wildlife experience. Next. Natural shade at Max Patterson Park to Gladstone to add trees and nature-based shade structures to create a cooler and more comfortable park environment. Next. Nature play and habitat at Clackamas to Oregon City to add nature-based play features, including an interactive water play area and educational elements connected by accessible paths with native plantings. Next. Nature skate at Water Tower Park to Milwaukee to combine small-scale skate features with habitat restoration and stormwater improvements. Next. Neighborhood green space in Sunnyside to NCPRD to help create a new park by contributing native pollinator plantings, pocket forests, and rain gardens. Next. Restore Fernberg wetlands to Milwaukee to restore wetlands by removing invasive species and improving trails and boardwalks for wildlife viewing and exploration. Next. Risley Refresh to NCPRD to create a nature-based play area with interactive features and native plantings to support play and wildlife observation. This everyone was just spelled out. Next, river access at Milwaukee Bay Park to Milwaukee to create a safe and accessible river entry point with a gathering space for enjoying the water. Next, shade for Clackamas North Bank to Gladstone to plant shade trees and native vegetation to improve habitat and comfort along the river. Next. Shade for the Clackamas River South Bank to Clackamas County Water Environment Services to plant trees, restore native vegetation, and improve trails along the river corridor. Next, stream and garden improvements at end of the Oregon Trail Park to Oregon City to restore landscapes and gardens while adding interpretive features that connect ecology, history, and community use. Trail and habitat improvements at River Villa Park to NCPRD to complete a short trail loop by extending existing walking trails while restoring habitat by mitigating emerald ash borer impacts. And next. And finally, treat stormwater above Kellogg Creek to Milwaukee to improve stream health and fish habitat while creating educational opportunities through upgraded outfalls. And next. All right. But we're not done yet. Now I'm going to hand it over to Shannon to discuss community-led acquisitions, an innovative pilot that use ideas submitted through the Community Choice Grants idea collection to identify acquisition targets for local jurisdictions through Metro Parks and Nature's Protect and Restore program.
Thank you, Gabrielle. Hi, Council President Gonzalez, Metro Councilors. My name is Shannon Leary. I share pronouns. I manage the real estate program with Parks and Nature. And I'm here to talk about Resolution 265625, community-led acquisition grants. So keeping with the idea that Dr. Blasher mentioned earlier of no wrong door, this is an innovative pilot program within the Protect and Restore Land program area of the 2019 Parks and Nature's Bond that partnered with the Community Choice Grants process to solicit ideas for community-led acquisition. As Gabrielle mentioned, there were over 176 projects submitted through that community process. 37 were land acquisition projects in 31 locations. So as a result of that, conversations with local partners in District 2 and initial conversations with priority landowners, we have determined that we are recommending 6 projects move to funding for local jurisdictions to continue those negotiations. There are 4 projects in the city of Milwaukee, 1 project in the city of Gladstone, and 1 project in that Clackamas County will be the partner on.
All right. Thank you, Shannon. Before I relinquish the mic, I'd like to thank all the folks who helped make this happen. This is in no way an exhaustive list, but thank you to our review committee. That's so thoughtfully considered the final vote outcome to guide the recommendation for these awards. Big thank you to all of our partners, the City of Milwaukee, NASDAQ, Oregon City, NCPRD, Clackamas County, and the many special districts, watershed councils, and conservation districts, and organizations like Franklin's that were so giving of all of their time, energy to help make folks make their ideas a reality that are here for you today. And of course, our consultant team of Knot Studio, Co-Locate, and Multicultural Collaborative, frankly, without whom this program would have never met anywhere close to its potential. All the wonderful graphics and site plans you've seen throughout the presentation were produced by Knot. And this team also helped us develop all those events and opportunities to meet community members where they are. Thank you.
Well, council, do we have any questions or comments for staff before we begin with the motion? Councilor Lewis, yes, and then we'll go to Councilor Long after.
Sure, thank you. I want to take this opportunity to lift up how amazing it is that we have. I'm out of practice. I just want to lift up that we have an incredible opportunity here to shout from the rooftops that community budgeting can work, and it is an amazing tool to come up with incredible projects that are rooted in community, that are place specific, but also program that folks are hungry for. And we have now done this twice, first in Washington County. I couldn't be happier to have Clackamas County be our second and most successful attempt at this. Over 3,000 people voting is incredible. The work of our staff to get the word out, to partner with jurisdictions to get the word out, to monitor the votes, make sure that everybody was actually getting through the ballot. I had folks reach out who were having tech trouble, and the responsiveness that we had, so that tech was not a barrier, but it was actually cool, was really impressive. So thank you for your responsiveness. Thank you for being in community. I was able to go to a few of the meetings. One of the ones early on, we were doing everything we could to help people express their ideas. It wasn't just fill in a comment card. It wasn't the normal thing where you look at a map on the wall and have to put your Post-it note. We had giant tables full of feathers and sticks and cardboard, and people were making things. We had interviewers who were using microphones to capture the words of kids as young as 2 and 3, who didn't make a lot of sense to me, but somebody transcribed that. So we did everything we could to get all of these ideas, and just the work that was done to continue to streamline so folks saw their ideas and these projects all the way through to the end, so that they're excited to see these awards today. There's been a lot of chatter in the community on social media. I just want to lift that up. And I think we see pieces of future visions that are part of stacks of other projects and other investments that have been made over time or will be made in the future thanks to our local partners. Unlike most community grant making or most community budgeting, Metro doesn't own any of these spaces for making investments in. So I want to double down on my thanks to the cities, to the Parks District, to Clackamas County, because it's really important that we all work together. Sometimes we've had a struggle recently of who's leading, and there's some tension there. But today is the day to celebrate. I want to.
Yes. Councilor Long.
Thank you, Kevin. That was amazing work. Very inspirational and
I love the budgeting process. I do have 2 questions. Last cycle in Washington County, I noticed there was a couple projects centering around budgeting. I didn't see that come through. Was that like deprioritized? Trying to vote for that, like what was there a change in?
Yeah, I think about projects created. Who does anything stock and trade, stock and swear on my mistakes. Ideas as we did last time. I mean, it's interesting. For instance, projects we got from the first round of these grants. We certainly got more like frustration, sort of focused projects the second round than we did in the first. So I think it just speaks to sort of the individual identities of the different communities.
And then also last cycle, I think we talked a little bit about kind of the higher expense of engagement that was well worthwhile. And I'm wondering, now in the second round, are you starting to see that expense come down because you're more practiced and have systems in place? Just wondering about public dollar efficiency.
Yeah, absolutely. We dropped, I think, the overall cost of the process by about 20% in the first round. And some of that was being able to reuse materials and some of our process for the first round. But a lot of it was adaptation, taking what we had learned in the first round, identifying opportunities to streamline it. How can we reach more folks more efficiently and get better feedback at the same time? And so we have a really creative team. We work with both our partners, jurisdictional partners, as well as with our consultant team to identify opportunities for that. One was what we call the workshop in a box. So that first round of workshops, you're having to look at 80-something projects. And in Washington County, we had these large events, but it's a lot of projects for people to get through. And so by increasing our touch points and bringing these workshops into something that could travel, we could take to tabling events, allow folks to quickly identify projects, provide more feedback, and cost significantly less at the same time.
Worthwhile investment. Great work. Thank you.
Great, thanks. Councilor Palacios?
I just have a. All right, I got it. Thank you. I just had a quick comment. I just wanted to say thank you for the presentation. Also super thankful for the fact that we had community testimony as a part of the presentation. Accessible recreation is incredibly important. And I'm really glad that we're putting that investment into our community. So appreciate all the partnership and work that's been done on this. And so thankful to the community for the emphasis that they've put on these types of projects.
Great. I would like to triple down on participatory budgeting and how powerful it can be to see the community not just step up and have a voice, but to really direct meaningful investment to their communities. I think in this point of time where in Oregon and certainly here in the Portland region, I know a lot of community members struggle with trust with local governments. So anything that we can do to continue to show this money making an impact, I think is so powerful. I mean, also Gabrielle and John and Shannon, thank you for your work, Krista, as well, to all the Parks and Nature team that's in the room. And before I open public comment, I would also like to acknowledge, we this beautiful facility is a Clackamas County facility. We have two Clackamas County commissioners with us today, Commissioner Savas and Commissioner Helm. Thank you so much for joining us, and I'm sure many other elected officials. Sorry if I don't get to see Mayor Yee from Tigard as well. So I will now move to open public comment on both of the items on the docket. Georgia, if you could please again read procedure for signing up online and then review our in-person signups for these resolutions.
Absolutely. And from all of the blue cards that I've received, I'm not seeing any in-person folks who are going to testify on this agenda item, which is resolution number 26/5581. So I'm going to kind of breeze through that one unless someone else has a blue card they'd like to bring in. Okay, great. Awesome. Okay, I'll read all the instructions. If you're testifying in person, please sign up by filling out a blue card in the back, in the corner right there, and bringing it up to me. If you are testifying on Zoom or by phone, please sign up by using the raise hand function on the reactions or more menus, or by dialing *9. When it is your turn to testify, I will call on your name or phone number. For those on Zoom, click accept to be promoted to a panelist. You can turn on your camera if you'd like. Testimony is limited to 3 to 2 minutes, and the timer begins when you begin speaking. Please state your name for the record before testifying. You do not need to give your physical address. I will also just make this general. If anyone else needs to fill out a blue card for any agenda item, you're more than welcome to do that now and then bring it up to me so that we'll be all prepared for the next items. Thank you so much. That is perfect. All right, Grover. Bornefeld. Thank you. Thank you.
I appreciated comments about celebration. Thank you. happen to be member of the CBRD District Advisory Committee, but I'm also in the library. Several other things in our community. I appreciate one, that you had the reach to get funding to support so many different projects, so many accounts. So I appreciate that greatly. And we also specifically appreciate the local share aspect, which is not what this is, but we had a great time getting people to be aware of the opportunity to vote on the various things. And I saw so many of them that I cared about. But so many of the others that didn't make my vote list also did make it. So it's just wonderful, this building being an example of the park next door, how we can take what we have and really make it accessible to people. So for that, I thank you. I also want to just be clear, both library, parks, and the rest of it, we are all challenged for funding, for operational funding. So it is a struggle to keep things going that way. So thank you for providing the capital for those kinds of things. But it's really difficult for us right now. And keep up the good work. I don't know if I have a timer going, but I just think we need more celebration. And I definitely think we need more trees everywhere, because truly I've lived on my piece of property for 35 years, and I probably planted 50 trees on my 30 acre. It's just delightful, and everybody else just smells great. One last thing, I did years of working with very high risk, low income people in different neighborhoods that had no trees. Because nobody wants the trees, you have to deal with them and so on and so forth. And it's so much hotter there. So the more trees we get, the more shade we get on the rivers is important.
Excellent, thank you.
Thank you so much. And also, I apologize, I did make a mistake. This is testimony on resolution number 26-5581 and resolution number 26-5625. With the right position. I do not see any folks who have signed up to testify by raising their hand on Zoom, and I'm not seeing any other blue cards for this agenda item. Council.
All right, thank you so much, Georgia. All right, council, let's have deliberation after a motion and second on these resolutions. We're gonna move them individually. So I will call for a motion on resolution number 26-5581.
I move 26-5581.
I will say that. All right, moved by Councilor Lewis and seconded by Councilor Palacios. Any additional discussion for the motion on the table, council? Councilor Lewis.
We want to recognize some additional folks in the room. First and foremost, staff, Parks District, cities, but also we missed a couple of electeds. We've got Mayor Milch, we've got Mayor Beatty, and we've got Councilor Massey. There we go. So we've got other folks in the room as well.
Thanks, Councilor, for helping with that. All right, folks, we have a motion and a second on the table. Georgia, can we please call roll?
Absolutely. Councilor Nolan,
Yes.
Councilor Palacios,
Aye.
Councilor Simpson,
Aye.
Councilor Rosenthal,
Aye.
Councilor Wong.
Aye.
Councilor Lewis,
Aye.
Council President Gonzalez.
Aye, thank you. The motion passes unanimously on resolution number 26-5581 for Nature and Neighborhoods Community Choice Grants. Just a round of applause real quick on that. Great. And now, council, we'll consider a resolution number 26-5625, the Protect and Restore Grants. If I could please call for a motion on this resolution.
I move 26-5625.
All right, we have it moved by Councilor Lewis, seconded by Councilor Simpson. Thank you. Council, any additional discussion for the motion on the table? Okay, seeing none, Georgia, if you could please call roll.
Absolutely. Councilor Wong.
Aye.
Councilor Lewis,
Aye.
Councilor Nolan,
Yes.
Councilor Rosenthal,
Aye.
Counselor Simpson,
Aye.
Counselor Palacios,
Aye.
Council President Gonzalez.
Aye. All right, the motion passes unanimously. Congratulations again. Another round of applause. All right, and we still have more. We will now consider resolution number 26-5580 for the purpose of approving 2026 to 2027 Nature and Neighborhoods Community Stewardship and Restoration Grants. We have Carissa Lowe, Community Grants Program Manager, and John for a presentation.
Thank you, President Gonzalez. Again, still John Blasher, Participation Director, here on item 26-5580 for our Nature Neighborhoods Community Stewardship and Restoration Grants out of the 2022 levy. Very excited to have our program manager, Chris Lowe, here to talk through these projects and get to hear from some community members too.
Yeah, thank you. I'm not sure if Lee Rappaport was able to. Hello, come on up. All right, I'm bringing my community member up just to start off. Bahaya Nahuala Sensei Sasquatch Carissa Lowe. Hello, thank you for being here. My name is Carissa Lowe. My pronouns are she, they. I'm a member of the Cowicenian tribe, and I am your Nature and Neighborhoods Community Grants Program Manager. Good afternoon, Metro Council President Gonzalez and Metro Councilors. Thank you for having me here today. I'm here to describe the Review Committee's recommended grant awards and the resolution before you for your approval. Just as a reminder, the Metro Nature and Neighborhoods Community Grants Program awards grants in two categories. There's the Nature Education and Outreach Grants and the Community Stewardship and Restoration Grants. The funding recommendations before you today are for Community Stewardship and Restoration Grants. Next slide, please. Just some quick grounding before we dive into this year's awards. The purpose of the Nature and Neighborhoods Community Grants Program's Community Stewardship and Restoration Grants is to support and create partnerships in local communities that improve water quality, fish and wildlife habitat, and connect people with nature. We have 3 goals for this program. Goal 1 is improve water quality, fish and wildlife habitat. Goal 2 is community partnerships, collaborations, and accountability. And goal 3 is economic and environmental equity. I want to thank the voters. The funding source for this particular program is the 2022 Parks and Nature Levy. So thank you, voters, for continuing to support this and other levy-funded programs. This year, the program had a total of $750,000 to distribute. Applicants can request a maximum of $100,000 for their projects. Some quick stats about this year's funding opportunity. This year, Metro received 49 pre-applications totaling just under $4.1 million of requests. At the pre-application review meeting on March 19th, the review committee invited 20 organizations to submit full proposals for a total of just under $1.67 million in requests. And then at the full proposal review meeting on June 4th, the review committee finalized the recommendations before you today. The review committee recommends to the Metro Council 10 organizations for funding for a total of $750,000. Next slide, please. So about that review committee, environmental nonprofits, culturally specific and community-based organizations, and other grant makers shape the Nature and Neighborhoods Community Grants Program each cycle, both through initial stakeholder engagement and participation in the review committee. This year's review committee included community members, local experts in habitat restoration, natural area land management, conservation planning, mentorship, and job skill development, community partnership development, philanthropy, and grant management. We had a mix of returning committee members who'd served with us before and members who were new to the process. The members on this slide are this year's returning review committee members. Next slide, please. The review committee members on this slide are folks who joined us for the first time this year. We're very grateful for all of their participation. The review committee evaluated the pre-applications and full applications based on information submitted by the applicants, the stated evaluation criteria, and the review committee's professional and collective judgment. All funding recommendations are made by the review committee. The 2025-2026 Nature and Neighborhood Community Stewardship and Restoration Grants Review Committee recommends the following 10 proposals for funding to the Metro Council. Next slide, please. All right, first up,
We have the project Black Futures Farm Heap Healing Education, Afroecology, and Permaculture. This is a $100,000 award to the organization Black Futures Farm. This project supports the work of Black Futures Farm, which is a Black-centered urban agricultural space working to connect Black people to the land and inspire all people to create meaningful change through food, knowledge, culture, and outdoor experiences. Next slide, please. Next up, we have Heal Garden, Heritage, Ecology, and Allied Legacies. This is a project by the Immigrant and Refugee Community Organization. It's an award of $100,000. And this project will unite members of Metro's Indigenous, Latinx, and Slavic and Eastern European communities to create an accessible, multicultural community garden and events that foster a resilient community identity rooted in care for the land and each other. Next slide, please. Next up is Learning Gardens Laboratory with their project Learning Gardens Lab Community Partnerships, Agroecology, Land Stewardship, and Internship and Certificate Program. This is a $99,946 award, and this project is a collaboration between Learning Gardens Laboratory, Solar Punks, and PSU's iTech program. It will create a paid internship and certificate program. This pilot removes economic barriers to workforce development, restores native habitats, and expands community access to land and traditional first foods. Next slide, please. Next up, we have Go Fish PI program, Get Out and Fish with Living Islands 2026. The organization is Living Islands nonprofit. It's a $100,000 award. This project engages Native Hawaiian and Pacific Islander communities in culturally rooted fishing camps and excursions that inspire environmental stewardship, food sovereignty, and responsible, sustainable use of Oregon's waterways. Next slide, please. Next up, Northwest Youth Corps project. It's a $45,057 award to support their project Youth Growing Food and Community at Kindness Farm. This project gives 56 Portland teens and leaders the opportunity to promote food sovereignty for historically marginalized communities through 6 weeks of activities at Kindness Farm. For their service, participants earn money, high school credit, and a solid work reference. Next slide, please. Our next organization is Northwest Zen Sangha with their project Dharma Rain Food Forest. This is a $40,000 grant award, and this project will offer a series of classes and workshops for underserved populations. Events will take place on Northwest Zen Sangha's 4-acre campus. Learning activities will combine native habitat restoration with regenerative agriculture practices. Next slide, please. Our next project is the New Columbia Community Stewardship Project by Our Village Gardens. It's a $29,997 award. This project will improve wildlife habitat by removing invasive species and planting healthy ones while working with partners to expand economic and environmental equity by connecting residents to Indigenous workshops, a leadership academy, and career pathways. Next slide, please. Portland Indigenous Marketplace is our next organization we recommend for an award of $75,000 for their Plant Plaza and Eco Roof project. This project will transform a 2,500 square foot parking lot to create a resilient and welcoming plaza with native plants, shade trees, living systems, Indigenous arts, and interpretive displays, and it will install an eco roof. Next slide, please. All right, next up, we have Portland Opportunities Industrialization Center, recommended for an award of $60,000 for their POIC Natural Resource Pathway Program. And I will hand it over to Lee, my wonderful guest.
All right. Good morning, Metro Council. Again, my name is Lee Rappaport. I'm the program manager for POIC's Natural Resource Pathway. POIC was established in 1967 as a workforce development agency dedicated to training and placement of adults in the African American community. Since then, we've grown substantially, and in 2008, POIC launched our Natural Resource Pathway, introducing youth to the natural world and career opportunities that support environmental stewardship. That same year, we established a partnership with Friends of Trees that continues to today through the Branch Coalition. One of our cornerstone programs within our natural resource pathway is the Student Crew Leader Training Program, simply known as CREW, by participants and staff. Each planting season, we hire between 10 to 13 high school students and partner with Friends of Trees, Portland Parks and Recreation, and the Columbia Slough Watershed Council to provide hands-on training and leadership development. Participants learn to become Friends of Trees crew leaders, guiding volunteer groups at approximately 15 restoration and mulching events each season, planting over 7,000 trees and shrubs in the Portland metro region. Through this program, young people develop leadership skills while gaining a deeper understanding of the regional ecosystem and environmental challenges facing the Portland metro area. Many participants return for a second and even third year, continuing to build their confidence, knowledge, and leadership capacity. The experience helps youth develop a strong sense of belonging within the broader Portland metro community and increases their ability to work collaboratively both with peers and community members from diverse backgrounds. The long-term impact of this program can be seen in the success of our alumni. Many former crew members have continued the workforce development journey with POIC and have gone on to careers with organizations such as the U.S. Forest Service, the BLM, Portland Parks and Rec, Columbia Slough Watershed Council, among others. Regardless of where the career paths lead, all of our participants leave with a greater appreciation for the natural environment and a stronger connection to the community they call home. On behalf of POIC, I'd like to thank Metro for your continued support of the natural resource pathway and the many other impactful programs you've funded. Your investment helps create opportunities for young people, strengthens our communities, and fosters the next generation of environmental stewardship and leaders. Thank you for your continued support.
All right, thank you so much, Lee, for those wonderful words and for stepping in and being my guest speaker today. I really, really very much appreciate you. She stepped in on very short notice because my original speaker had a conflict, so I just want to give extra thanks to Lee. My next slide, please. All right, so our final recommendation is the Uprise Collective's $100,000 project called Food Sovereignty Practices Through a Disability Justice Lens. This project uses cultural, ecological knowledge, community partnerships, and food sovereignty practices through a disability justice lens to create accessible food and traditional medicine garden spaces, as well as creating opportunities for food cultivation, preparation, and preservation. Next slide, please. All right, thank you to the Metro Council for your time and consideration of the recommended grant awards and the resolution for your approval. Thanks also to our community investments team for all their work on these grant recommendations, especially my fellow program manager, Gabrielle Brown, Renee Ingram, who is a fantastic admin, and my manager, Elizabeth Guzman Arroyo. They all helped out with my review committee, and I'm extremely grateful for their support throughout this process. And thank you again to Lee Rappaport for stepping in as an amazing guest speaker. Any questions?
Thank you. Thank you. All right, council, do we have any questions on the presentation? Councilor Rosenthal, and then Councilor Lewis. You and then Councilor.
Okay, thank you. Just one quick question. I know a number of these projects are located in specific locations. Is there a map showing where the locations are?
Yes, we do have a map, and I believe it's outside. Oh, it is in the back, and it is another creation that was kind of spearheaded by Gabrielle and who was her? And Samantha Wright. Yeah, it was. So check it out. I recommend it.
Okay. Thank you. Councilor Lewis, then we'll go to Councilor Simpson.
Thank you. I have a lot of enthusiasm for the organizations that are out there, making sure that people have access to nature and are part of restoration. It's not something that just a scientist does. It is something that you can do as a youth. It is something you can do as an elder. You can do it all day, every day. It's in Oregon. There are no bad weather days. There's just bad weather. So really excited to see the way that we're connecting folks. The previous 3 resolutions, we've been spending our bond dollars. And I'm just asking, can you reinforce this is our levy? That's correct.
Indeed, this is our levy.
And so every 5 years, we go to the voters and we say, do we keep doing this?
Yes.
And about how many of these awards do we do? So we're doing this today, but we did it last year. Do we do it again in 2 years? How often over the 5 years do we get to make awards like
So this is an annual program. We do switch focus areas each year. So the next funding opportunity, which we hope to launch in the fall, I want to plug that really quickly. Our next funding opportunity will be the nature education and outdoor experiences half of this program. And then the next restoration half of the program will be the following year.
Wonderful. Thank you for detailing that. I obviously knew some of the answers, but I think it is no time like the present for us to underscore the importance of thinking about bond renewal. We're going to keep investing. Excuse me, levy renewal. We're going to keep investing.
Absolutely. And thank you for the chance to plug my next funding opportunity. Again, that's in the fall. Stay tuned.
Councilor Simpson?
But here, thank you, Director Blasher. Thank you, Carissa. Thank you to your team. Thank you to all the citizens, volunteers who helped dream this vision up, get their projects funded. And to all those folks who didn't get their projects funded, thank you to them. I know full well what it feels like to put one of those applications in. Thank you to them as well. I just want to uplift, because I'm super excited about it, the food production aspect. Because particularly the culturally specific pieces, it really warms up my heart. I got my chops from PSU with Mud Bone Grown, working in community, and to see that we're funding similar opportunities is phenomenal. And my heart is just, I really appreciate your work and your dedication.
Thank you. I appreciate your kind words. And also I really appreciate you noting the folks who didn't get funded. It's always hard to make these decisions. We always have far more great work being done than we have money available for it. But this year was the largest number of organizations to apply that I've seen in my 5 years at Metro, and also the largest amount of funding requested. So we had to say no to a bunch of amazing projects that are important and need to get funded somewhere. But unfortunately, I couldn't be here today. One thing that's great about this particular slate is that it includes a lot of organizations that have come to us before and applied and been declined. And so I was so thrilled to see them come back. It was like, they didn't give up on us. And this time they got funded. So I'm hoping that organizations that didn't get funded will see it as a temporary setback and not a reason to not come back, because there's incredible work being done.
Wonderful. Thank you, Council, for your comments. We will now accept public comment on this item. Georgia, if you could please read the process.
Absolutely. All right. If you are here to testify on resolution number 26-5580, now is the time to do so. If you are testifying in person, please sign up by filling out a blue card in the back of the room and bringing it up to me. All the blue cards in my hand are not regarding this agenda item. If I'm incorrect, please correct me. If you are testifying on Zoom or by phone, please sign up by using the raise hand function in the reactions or more menus, or by dialing *9. When it is your turn to testify, I'll call in your name or phone number. For those on Zoom, click accept to be promoted to a panelist. Your Zoom window will close briefly before you rejoin as a panelist, and you can turn on your camera if you'd like. Testimony is limited to 2 minutes. Timer begins when you begin speaking. Please state your name for the record before testifying. You do not need to give your physical address. And again, if you're testifying on an agenda item that is not this one, but you would like to fill out a blue card, you're welcome to do that now and bring it up to me. The blue cards are just right over there. All right. Council President Gonzalez, I am not seeing any folks in the virtual audience or physical audience that are here to testify on this particular resolution.
All right, thank you. Council, I'll close the public comment for this item and call for a motion on resolution 6-5580. Move. Second. All right, we have it moved by Councilor Simpson and seconded by Councilor Rosenthal. Any additional discussion? Okay, seeing none, Georgia, please call roll.
Absolutely. Councilor Lewis?
Aye.
Councilor Wong?
Aye.
Councilor Nolan?
Yes.
Councilor Palacios?
Aye.
Councilor Simpson?
Aye.
Councilor Rosenthal?
Yes.
And Council President Gonzalez.
Aye, thank you. The vote is unanimous. Thank you, President Beckenbauer. Oh, delightful. We're gonna enter our last item here. I know we have quite a bit of public comment. We look forward to hearing from all of you. I do want to acknowledge the Metro Council has up to this point of the meeting allocated $18 million, which is remarkable. So again, thank you. I just want to highlight the magnitude and how wonderful all of these projects are. And to share a statement with Councilor Simpson, there's so many projects as well that deserve funding. We will go into our last item, resolution number 26-5578, for the purpose of approving a third round of funding for Parks and Nature Bond Large Scale Community Visions Program. Very pleased to see Linda Venegas again, our Large Scale Community Visions Program Manager, who has spent quite a bit of time with the council lately. And that's great to see you. And John, again, thank you for leading us through another presentation. So the floor is yours, and then we'll move forward.
Thank you, Council President Gonzalez and Council. John Blasher, Parks and Nature Director here on item number 26-5578 for our Large Scale Community Visions Program. We're excited to offer some opportunities for you to approve some funding for this program today. We can go to the next slide, please. So as mentioned, excited to bring this request for action to council on this bond program. As a reminder, Metro Council created this program to help fund large-scale complex projects that use investments in nature to uplift communities while delivering benefits like job opportunities, affordable housing, and safe, reliable transportation. As a reminder, as this is funded out of the 2019 bond, requires public ownership for the final asset. It's also bringing together specifically nature while uplifting housing, workforce development opportunities, transportation. It's meant to be catalytic, so making sure that these things are complex and transformative and innovative in their nature, depending on where they are in the region, and really bringing together that public-private partnership. We had a great slate of many projects that were in the first round, in the second round, and in this third round. Like the theme for today is we wish we could fund them all. I mentioned you all wish you could fund them all. Maybe there's opportunities in future funding measures for the council to consider to the voters for bonds and levies. But today we really want to talk about the projects that we brought forward for your consideration based on the conversations last week, which I was not a part of. They sounded very exciting and interesting, and the continued conversations you're having now. So with that, we can go to the next slide, and I'm going to hand it off to Linda.
Thank you, John. Hey, good morning, Metro Council President and Councilors. My name is Linda Venegas. I use she, her pronouns. I'm the Large Scale Community Visions Program Manager. So as John mentioned, lots of exciting and worthy projects this round. The third cycle received 7 applications, which brought forth projects with meaningful connections to their respective communities and aligned to varying degrees around the program criteria and the goal of significant investments in habitat restoration and capital projects with complementary investments in either housing, transportation, or workforce development. After reviewing the staff team technical analysis, Metro Council signaled at a work session on July 14th that these 4 projects on the screen right now had the potential to fully address bond measure and program requirements. And I'll touch on each project in the next few slides. I do want to invite up a couple folks from working theory firms. We have Henny Sullivan and Justin Green in the room, and I think we only have one chair here, but we can maybe pull one up. Thanks, John. Working Theory Farm is recommended for $3 million for the Working Theory Farm project. This project is located in Hillsborough and will require working farmland, protecting an invaluable farm park for habitat, nature access, and active community programs, and rapidly urbanizing South Florida. I'm going to take a moment and transition this to me and Justin to speak a bit about the project and the impact.
Thank you, Linda, and thank you, Metro Council. I'm Henny. I'm one of the co-directors of Working Theory Farm. So we're on 24 acres in suburban Hillsborough. And if you were to zoom out from that image on the screen, you would see suburbs all around it. We're accessible by the 57 bus, and we've been operating there since 2012 and since 2019 as a community nonprofit with a dual mission of empowering youth through the shared work of farming, and through that shared work, responding to community food insecurity. That has looked like hiring youth and facilitating a mixture of employment and mentorship programs that primarily serve youth transitioning out of the carceral system. Since 2021, we've hired more than 80 young people and paid more than $300,000 in direct wages, and really operating as the first rung of rejoining the workforce and positively re-engaging with community. And as part of that program, we've also grown a boatload of food, especially culturally appropriate food that's primarily distributed through our partners at Centro Cultural through their free food mercado. We've just crossed the 100,000 pounds of food donated metric, and pounds really doesn't do justice too, because that's the portion of that that's cilantro, like that really doesn't add up in pounds like that. So I'll kick it to Justin to talk a little bit about what this project in particular is.
Thank you so much, councilors. As Henny said, these 24 acres inside the urban growth boundary are unique, to say the least. When we started farming there in 2012, this area looked very different, but we're now surrounded by suburban neighbors. But we're also accessible to the youth that we serve, and to the seniors that come from Centro as well. About 18 months ago, the landowners of the property came to us and said they'd ultimately like to sell. However, they share the vision of maintaining open space and feeding our community from this land. So they gave us some time and encouraged us to go try to find a way to continue to serve our community from this location. We did the same thing we did when we started the nonprofit, which is to meet with our community partners to understand how we could go about doing this together. That included Centro and also the city of Hillsborough, but also you'll see from our application, I think 15 to 20 letters of support from Oregon Youth Authority, the Washington County Juvenile Program, Washington County broadly, Well and Soil and Water, Clean Water Services, and others, all of whom have been supporting this work from the beginning. The landowners themselves brought down the assessed value of the property, which is $13 million, and are making a $5 million donation in support of the program. And then outside of its budget cycle, the city of Hillsborough responded quickly and has committed $2 million to the partnership as well. So with your support, for which we are incredibly grateful, we really are excited to be able to look in the long term, and both from a programming standpoint and a food production standpoint, to be able to continue to support our community, and also by feeding them and also by supporting directly the youth who are coming to us and are developing these deep bonds with the land and with others by producing food side by side with these adult mentors. We're incredibly grateful for this opportunity to steward this land into the future, to do so in partnership with the city, and that will allow us to bring in additional public access, wetlands restoration. There's some additional land there, so we're looking at other uses for community benefit for the land as well that's complementary to the program we have in place already. We've been doing this work a long time. We're excited to look farther into the future with your support. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Justin and Henny. So I'm gonna move forward with the remaining projects. So next slide, please. So Mount Hood Community College is recommended for $2.5 million for the Kelly Creek Dam removal, which you heard about earlier through the capital grants as well. This project, located on the Mount Hood Community College campus in Gresham, will replace a dam with a bridge to reconnect habitat, improve water quality, expand access to nature through an accessible trail, and provide workforce training opportunities. Next slide, please. City of Tigard is recommended for $1.5 million for the Ash Creek Link project located in the Metzger community and the Metro designated Washington Square Regional Center. This project will expand public green space, restore wetlands, as well as improve walking and biking connections to affordable housing, jobs, and regional destinations through a planned pedestrian bridge of the Oregon 217. Next slide, please. Bird Alliance of Oregon is recommended for $1 million for the East Portland Nature Center project located on Northeast 82nd Avenue in East Portland. Bird Alliance of Oregon will transform a former brownfield into a community design nature park with improved transit access, trails, and habitat that strengthens neighborhood connectivity and climate resilience. So with that, I'm going to transition it back to John. So next slide, please.
Thank you, Linda. So these are the future touch points that we see currently for council. The resolution that we are directed to bring before you today proposes partial awards on 3 projects, which would introduce potential risk into these projects that they might not be able to advance full implementation within the bond timelines. Council's given direction for us to spend down these funds by 2031. That's our direction we've been moving forward. So if council goes forward with this resolution, we'll continue to work with the programs and keep you updated on progress towards executing funding agreements for this and for the first 2 rounds of the program. and then continue to work to finalize all of those funding agreements. So those are some of the next steps that we'll be having. The specific timelines will vary as we go through the different projects and those conversations. Go to the next slide, please. And with that, we will request a Metro Council to consider adoption of resolution for 265578 for the purpose of approving funding for the Parks and Nature Bonds Large Scale Community Visions Program. With that, happy to respond to any questions that you may have. And I know there are lots of people that want to share their thoughts as well with you. I just want to again thank Linda and the whole team and this council for working through a lot of big opportunities and challenges with this exciting efforts and lots of great things happening across the region.
Right, thank you, Director Blasher, for your presentation. Any comment or questions for staff before we open public comment? I know we have quite a bit here. All right, Councilor Nolan, and then we'll go to Councilor Rosenthal, and then we'll go to Councilor Simpson.
Thanks, President Gonzalez. Did it go by so quickly that I missed it? But I didn't see an advocacy presentation from the Bird Alliance. Were they invited to present?
That is a question for staff, so I'll look to.
Yes.
No, I don't think you missed anything. I don't think we had invited them to present. So, but I believe there's folks here that will speak on their behalf.
So thank you. Quick follow-up. What were the criteria for you're inviting some representatives of some of the recommended projects, but not all of them?
Well, we follow the same trajectory that all the other programs do. They reach out to one awardee who has signaled their availability.
I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
Similar to the other programs who identify one awardee who comes and presents. It's based on availability, and we had a week to turn that around. It's not meant to be advocacy. It's just supposed to be aligning with all the other programs. I've also had one awardee come and speak.
Thanks, Linda.
Done.
Is that all, Councilor Nolan? Sorry, you went on mute.
Well, I got the information I wanted, but it's an unsatisfactory response.
Okay, thank you, Councilor. Councilor Rosenthal, and then we'll go to Councilor Simpson.
Thank you, Chair Gonzalez. Just one question. Have you identified preliminarily the touch points you mentioned any of the projects which are highly unlikely to be able to proceed if they only get partial funding, and versus those that have some scalable factors?
Yes, Councilor, I'll pass it to Linda. I think it's been part of the most recent conversations, but again, I think that these are still a little fluid and people need to go and spend a little bit more time understanding what may or may not be funded. So it's not easy just to give black and white answers. Yes, no, this can or can't happen, given the tight timelines that folks are working on with sort of a week or two of this new information. But with that, I'll see if Linda has anything more to add.
Yes, so I can speak a little bit to it, although I do know that there are folks in the room who will be giving public testimony. So yeah, as we identified, partial award introduces risk to implementation. Applicants are encouraged to submit for the full amount that will make their project viable. So that is what you see represented in those requests. And so a reduction does mean an impact. I do believe City of Tigard has emphasized that their agreement with one of the landowners who's donating land to the project is at risk given the partial award. And it introduces additional costs to the projects because they are aligning it and creating efficiencies with Clean Water Services trunk line installation. So that introduces some challenges for them. Bird Alliance of Oregon, the scale, they can reduce the scale, but it's a significant impact. I think it reduces from their original scope of 3 acres to some right-of-way and maybe vegetation. So a much smaller scope, which will require them to do additional fundraising. Kelly Creek, you all recommended at that full amount, and that does mean that if that project can move forward with implementation, that clean fill from the dam removal will be able to be given to Advanced Vision project, which really furthers the success of that project and their efforts moving forward. And then Working Theory Farm, similarly, it's a smaller, it's a partial award, so that means they will have to identify other funding sources for will not require a decision.
Thank you. Councilor Rosenthal,
Yeah.
All right, thank you. Councilor Simpson?
Thank you, Councilman, President Gonzalez. My question was last round. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Okay, we will now move to open public comment. Georgia, if you could please reread the procedure for folks online and those in person. And we will get to everyone in the room and online that would like to share some feedback with the council. Okay, thank you.
Absolutely. If you are here to testify on resolution number 26-5578 for the purpose of approving a third round of funding for Parks and Nature Bond Large Scale Community Visions Program, the last resolution of the day, now is the time to do so. If you are testifying in person, please sign up by filling out a blue card in the on that corner of the table and bringing it up to me. If you are testifying on Zoom or by phone, please sign up by using the raise hand function in the reactions or more menus or by dialing *9. When it is your turn to testify, I'll call on your name or phone number. For those on Zoom, click accept to be promoted to a panelist. Your Zoom window will close briefly before you rejoin as a panelist, and you can turn on your camera if you'd like. Testimony is limited to 2 minutes, and the timer begins when you begin speaking. Please state your name for the record before testifying. You do not need to give your physical address. And we are going to start with our in-person folks who have signed up. We're going to start with Mayor Yi Kang-hoo.
Well, good morning, President Gonzalez and Metro Councilor. For the record, my name is Yi Kang-hoo. I'm a Tiger resident. I have the honor of serving as a mayor of Tiger. I'm here today to respectfully urge you to restore the full $3.8 million funding recommended by Metro staff for the Ash Creek Nature Link. First, I really want to thank Metro staff for their thorough review and for ranking Ash Creek Nature Link as one of the strongest projects. I also appreciate the council's proposed investment of $1.5 million on the table currently. As everybody mentioned, today is a day to celebrate, but unfortunately, that $1.5 amount will leave a $2.3 million funding gap that's large enough to make this project infeasible. I have city staff here ready to answer any question you may have on that concern. Metro staff have already explained why Ash Creek Nature Link is exactly the type of project this grant program is created to support. And I just want to emphasize here again that this project is shovel ready and is located in Tiger's lowest income and historically underserved neighborhood. So just please imagine what this project means for the kids, for the families, for the seniors, and for the workers who will finally have a safe connection to nature, to jobs, to schools, and essential services. This project is also the product of years of planning and collaboration among the City of Tiger, Clean Water Services, Washington County, property owners, affordable and senior housing providers, businesses, big or small, and community organizations. Over the past few days, you have already received letters of support from more than 24 community members and elected officials because they recognize that this regional value of this investment. Most importantly, this project is ready to move forward right now. The partnership, matching fund, and the construction opportunity are all aligned. But the only funding the funding comes together. Only if the funding comes together right now. I understand the council desire to support several worthy projects. However, by dividing limited funding among multiple large projects, and as your own staff point out, there's a real risk that none of them will receive enough funding to be completed. In this case, the partial awards is effectively a missed opportunity. So thereby, I respectfully ask you to restore the full $3.8 million so we can build this project and tell voters the story together. Thank you so much for your consideration.
Thank you. We will now go to Counselor Bridget Brooks. And we can keep it red. Thank you.
Bridget Brooks, I'm a city councilor in the city of Tualatin. And I already introduced myself before, so it's me again. I am here to support the original recommendation as well. I have deep concerns about the short-term turnaround and the period of time that the cities have worked together with Metro staff and been approved along the way in their projects. In some ways, when I'm looking at the Tigard one, even though I'm a Tualatin City Councilor, I'm concerned because there's a donation on the table, and that is a time-limited donation. So I think it's amazing that they got that. We always seem to have to buy our property, and to be in good faith to find this out at such late notice and to have it conflicted with Clean Water Services, which is also used on the Tualatin River, which is really very important to us. It's the only contiguous clean water services on a whole river, and it's an amazing organization that supports our sanitary services. And the other thing I'd like to say is that I just want to put out to staff, and we've seen this before, it's been really disappointing. The first minute of the Trump administration, we lost a $15 million EPA grant. In the east end of Washington County, we are historically underfunded and historically overlooked by larger granting organizations. And I respectfully ask the body to consider examining how much funding goes to our region, especially around the climate, around transportation, around parks. There's been a failure. And I can't say that bus services come directly to our city because they aren't, and they're going to get worse. We have no max that comes out, and the people that live in our city that need social services have to hike out to Hillsborough. If there's counts that people are doing for voting for their projects, we are a smaller city of 28,000, so we don't have as many residents to count as larger cities in our region. And finally, even though we have those people, we have over our population coming into work every day, 30,000 people. And those businesses all contribute to taxes that are supposed to support these ways of people to get to work and get to our city, and they just fail. So I would really respectfully ask the body to consider really thinking about this, especially in this time. Thank you very much. Thank you. Sorry, I went over. I don't know where the clock is.
Yeah, but the clock is up here.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry.
It's okay. Yeah, especially to our elected leaders that have made time to come and have. It's really appreciated. Georgia?
Next, we have Kelly Beamer, and then on deck is Jordan Adams. Yep, that sounds great. I'll start calling you up in teams so we can help everyone out. And then the light, when it's red, that means it's on. So if you want to press the button on the bottom. Perfect.
Great. Hello again, for the record, Kelly Beamer, Executive Director of East Multnomah Soil and Water Conservation District. I wanted to come up again and just touch briefly on one component of the Mount Hood Dam Removal Project, and that is really how much of a catalytic opportunity this is for students. We're talking about a transformative project on a community college campus. And over the last year, we've had so many faculty engage and participate in site tours and really helping us understand the role of this Living River vision on the fisheries program, the geology program, biology, fish and wildlife, health and wellness, and art. And we've heard from professors how important having this as a living classroom is. And so I also just wanted to be here to introduce Jordan Adams, who has quite about to graduate from the fisheries program, who's also been involved in supporting this project, and he was able to take time to join us today. So I just wanted to introduce and pass the mic and share some of my time with him.
All right, thank you, Metro. Like Kelly said, my name is Jordan Adams. I have finished the fisheries program. I'm just earning my last 4 credits to graduate. Already walked. I can say for our group, like our classmates, the fishery students, that the river or the creek, Kelly Creek and Beaver Creek, are essential to our learning. Being able to step out of the classroom and go right down to the water and see the fish, like within the first week of the program, you're already down in the water, looking for returning salmon, looking for returning fish, doing habitat assessment, and following the ODFW protocol, like getting real hands-on training. And it's the dam being removed can only expand the opportunities to learn out there in the river. Like it'd almost be worth going back again to do it again, because it's going to be a whole different experience, and it's going to be great. And I'm excited to see the results of that.
And I'll just end with, more dams came down across this country in the last year than has ever happened. More rivers are open and free, and for students to be able to plug in and be part of the engineering, the restoration, and the monitoring just really opens so many doors. So thank you very much.
Thank you both. All right, next we have Joe Wisniewski, and on deck is Elizabeth Edwards.
Morning, Council President and members of Metro Council. My name is Joe Wisniewski. I'm the City Engineer and Acting Public Works Director for the City of Tigard. Thank you for the opportunity to testify today. The main thing I want to focus on today is what it means for Tigard if we receive a reduced funding source. And I appreciate in the previous workshop the recommendation to pursue nature and neighborhoods for a future round. What that will do for us is it will jeopardize some of those agreements that were previously mentioned with the private property owner donations. And I truly believe this grant opportunity is what allowed this project to all come together. Previously, it's been difficult to work with the private entities and get them to all come together on a joint project in this area. And some of the terms that are in this program that require the public-private partnership and really drive home being good stewards of public funds is what really turned them and brought them in as a partner to this project. So if we receive partial funding, we do jeopardize over 7 acres of property being donated to the project. And any further delay wouldn't allow us to account for Clean Water Services project contribution to it, along with another private property partner that is including some construction on their own project to tie into this as part of the match. I also want to emphasize the stack of funding that has come together, and this is the final piece of making the project fully whole from a financial or budgetary standpoint. So with a full award, we would be able to deliver immediately. It would result in a publicly owned asset on public property and would restore recreation, transportation, access to nature. And it would also connect to a park, Bagan Park, that is under control of the city. That is where a portion of our local share dollars have went to. And then also under construction right now is the Steve Street part that is spending the remaining portion of the local share dollars. I am here today to help with any questions if needed, but I also want to thank Metro staff and the review panel for their time and really appreciate the technical analysis that went into this, and just urge the council to consider restoring full funding so that we can deliver a fully completed and fully funded project to the community. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Council President, I do see Sir Nolan has their hand up.
Mr. Nolan, yes.
Thanks, President Gonzalez. I would actually like to ask just a quick question of this advocate as well as the mayor of Tigard. and that is,
Counselor Nolan, we're gonna work through, public communication and we can hold, questions or discussion, for, once we're wrapped up. Still have quite a few people. That's okay with you.
can I ask a question of someone who testified later?
Typically, it's not in our practice to do so, but we'll allow it. I know this is a major, conversation and discussion vote, so yes.
And you'd rather we do that later?
Yes, please.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
All righty, now we have Elizabeth Edwards, and on deck is Dr. Leslie King.
So just really good morning, Metro Council, President Gonzalez, and the full council. My name is Elizabeth Edwards. I'm the Chief of Staff of Human Services. Thank you so much for the time to provide some comments today. For those who don't know, we are a public wastewater and stormwater management utility serving over 600,000 residents in Washington County. So I'm here today as a partner with City of Tigard on the Ash Creek Nature Link application and also to urge restoration of the staff review committee's recommended $3.85 million. So you've heard a lot about the critical nature of the timing of funding. You've heard a lot about the carefully negotiated agreements with landowners and our competitiveness and the stated metrics related to these grants. What I really want to lift up and speak to specifically is the importance of the partnership and coordinated approach on construction between CWS and Tigard and how it will help reduce costs and impacts to the public if we have this catalyzed investment. So Clean Water Services is the largest match contributor to the Ash Creek project. It's possible for us to do this because we're made construction on a $14.3 million master trunk line replacement right in that same corridor. Of that 14.3 million, 6.64 million is being applied as match. 5.5 of that for the overall project, and 1,146,000 on nature uplift and wetland restoration. So our capital engineering team is directly managing the mobilization, traffic control, all of these things, and has bi-weekly meetings assigned for construction in order to make sure that we can meet this shared schedule. And building this trail and habitat building all the trail and habitat work into this window means one mobilization, one traffic control plan, one excavation and utility locate process, and one restoration effort instead of two. So those scales and efficiencies are important. I wanted to speak to that today. I haven't had time.
Thank you. Now we have Dr. Leslie King, and on deck is Jennifer Bomer. Jennifer, you are on Zoom, so I'm going to promote you a little bit early so you can get situated, and then we'll let you know when your time is.
Okay. See you all again, whatever time of day it is. This is a good day. Presidente Juan Carlos, members of the Metro Council, always great to see you. For the record, my name is Dr. Leslie King, and I met almost all of you except for a new counselor, Palacios. Am I saying that right? Palacios? Palacios. Thank you. And I've come to you with things like social vulnerability and environmental justice, urban heat island, urban canopy. And that all translates to my new role, which is director of the Sandy River Watershed Council. And the lower Sandy River, the part that is in East Multnomah County, is the part where the Kelly Dam is. And how important that is in all of those factors that I've just mentioned. We talk a lot about salmon throughout the Pacific Northwest, and we should. We talk a lot about the impact to students. Again, we should. It was the students that walked the rivers and found the dead salmon, and we now know why, from the toxic chemicals they are exposed to. That was the work of the Mount Hood Community College students that alerted the entire region of what was going on. So all of that deserves to be highlighted. But what also we need to talk about is the larger community. Some of the poorest communities in all of Metro that are the most affected by urban heat island, where it's a 20-degree differential, which is lethal during heat waves. It has 2 times less urban canopy than the rest of Portland. And it directly ties into things like your cooling corridors and your 10-acre squares to carve up the heat island to mitigate from some of those factors. So that is why the Mount Hood Community College Kelly Dam removal project is so significant. It is not just for the students. It is not just for the fish. It is for the people. And specifically, as we heard about today, access, particularly folks with disabilities, that will fundamentally change that because right now there is no access. Anything with wheels, you can't get down. So all of this will change, and that is why this is such an important project. And I think my time is up, but I want to make sure that we talk about today, thanks, especially in this time where people are so frustrated and so frightened and things are so chaotic, that it is important that those of us are still here, that we shall not be moved, that we will continue to strive and work hard towards what is important despite what is going on all around us. So thank you. And thank you for having me.
All right. Now we're going to our Zoom folks. We have Jennifer Bomer and then Micah Mescal. I'm going to promote you to a panelist early. You're going to be going up next, but if you could just keep muted until it's your turn, that'd be great. All right, Jennifer.
Hello, I'm Jennifer Bomer. I'm the Vice President of Advancement and Community Engagement here at Mount Hood Community College. And I just simply want to thank you so very, very much for considering this project. You've heard from folks who've talked about the benefits of this project to the community, but I just wanted to lift up a little bit more about the students who are actually here at Mount Hood and who will have the opportunity to interact with this project. We're so proud of students like Jordan who spoke to you, but I just want to make visible the fact that our students, of which there are 18,000 who attend Mount Hood, are overcoming some very serious challenges to pursue a community college education. Mount Hood Community College is different. We serve one of the poorest areas of Oregon, and two-thirds of our students struggle to meet their basic needs. I'm talking about food, housing, transportation. And yet those 18,000 students have found a way to get an education at Mount Hood because Mount Hood is all about removing barriers for people to be successful. And that's why this project is so exciting to us, because it's removing barriers for students in really profound ways, but it's also removing barriers quite literally for our environment and for our community. Mount Hood has been around for 60 years, and it's part of our ethos that we serve our surrounding community and we remove barriers for our community as much as we do for our students. So thank you so very much for considering this project. We can't thank you enough.
Thank you so much, Jennifer. Next is Micah Mescal, and I do not have anyone else who has signed up to testify. So if you have not signed up yet, now is your time to do so. Micah, your time will begin when you begin speaking.
Thank you, Council President Gonzalez and Metro Council. My name is Micah Mescal, and I'm the Urban Conservation Director for Bird Alliance of Oregon. Apologies, I was there in person earlier today, but I had to run to join my wife at a prenatal appointment, and hadn't initially planned on testifying today, but thought I'd step up and advocate for our project. So our project is revitalizing a brownfield on Northeast 82nd and really embodies almost completely what the large scale community vision funding was intended for. And it is a community-led vision by a nonprofit that is in alignment with our coalition of community groups in the 82nd Coalition to bring nature to an urban landscape and to connect to other investments, investments made by Metro in helping increase transit along Northeast 82nd, investment in regreening our urban landscape. And our project, though we're not going to be able to foresee the entire vision with this first amount of funds from Metro, we can move forward significant plan to be able to build that educated plot will be a welcoming space for folks arriving from the region to the new home of our Wildlife Care Center and our nature space. It will also be a space for McDaniel students to hang and connect with nature as they're waiting to jump on their bus home. It is going to provide real connectivity to the other restoration work we're doing on site that is restoring 4 acres of oak savanna habitat, of which we are planning immediate connectivity to the Metro investment. And importantly, it really, as I mentioned earlier, is a community-led vision. And we have brought along our partner, City of Portland, who is committed to helping us meet the grant requirements. And the smaller scope will actually ease that process and hopefully bring them into better alignment with Metro around coming to the table to enact these important investments that Large Scale Community Vision program is bringing forward.
Great, thank you. And Council President, thank you, Micah. Council President, I am not seeing anyone else who is in line to testify.
Thank you, Georgia. Seeing no other folks raising their hands in the audience as well, I will, thank you. Seeing no other folks in the audience approaching us for testimony, I will close our public comment for Large Scale Community Vision resolution. Actually, before I do that, Councilor Nolan, you're right. We were going to have a question from you. Apologies for that. Would you like to come off mute and ask your question? And I think you asked for Mayor Tigard and Tigard staff. So if we could ask them to join us.
Mr. Chair.
Absolutely. Yes.
Thank you, President Gonzalez. To make sure I and perhaps others on the council who might be interested have a full picture, this is actually a quick question to the chief sponsors of each of them. And it is simply this. We've heard some fabulous aspects of all of these proposals. We heard them a week ago. We've read them in the proposals. Today, we specifically heard about the what would happen with a partial award, but I haven't heard a clear answer as to whether any sponsor would abandon their project if Metro does not grant them the full request that they have asked. And I think it's fair for everyone to just quickly say yes or no.
Okay, thanks. So Councilor Nolan, you're asking for every single project to answer that question?
Mr. Chair, Mr. President, I'm asking for one spokesperson from each project, 4 people to say yes or no.
Okay, and the question is if they would abandon their project with partial funding.
Yes.
Okay,
from us,
thank you.
Metro.
Well, I'm Prince from Tiger, the application. Thank you for joining us out here. How would you like to answer the question?
Thank you, Council President and Councilor Nolan for the question. For today, City of Tigard would respectfully ask for time to pursue other funding if it comes down to a partial award. We would be looking into the nature and neighborhood opportunity. We just know it's a high risk to our project, and we would like to put it on record that there would be a chance of returning this grant award if we cannot be successful in securing those funds. And also because of the short turnaround on from last workshop to now, we haven't been able to get a clear answer from our private partners on what this would mean to them, as we have a clear deadline in one of those agreements to have construction completed by, so that they would donate the property. So I know it's not a clear yes, no answer. It's a very high risk to the project, but we would like to ask for time and understanding to be able to pursue additional funding if it comes to that.
Okay. Yes. When is that deadline?
The trail portion of the project is expected to be completed by November of 2029 across the 7-acre parcel that's being donated.
And when is the, I know deadline there? I guess in order of operations, you need a commitment by.
Yeah, so one of the very detailed terms in that agreement is that for them to execute a land transfer to the city, we must have a fully funded project. And then it goes further to say, and must be completed construction by November of 2029. So one of the first things we'll need to do is actually start that transfer process. And as of today, we wouldn't have a fully funded project. So that is where the risk is to the project, that we wouldn't be able to meet that first term initially to start the land acquisition process. So I don't have a clear date, but it's soon. And I understand Nature and Neighborhood is likely to have a letter of interest around January of this coming year. And so that really makes this timeline tight.
Thank you for your answer. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll ask the other 4 applicants, please come up as well. Your question. So the working theory project.
Hey, Henny Sullivan from Working Theory Farm. We would accept public funding or partial funding. Apologies. We recognize that there's still a $3 million gap, but we're nothing if not scrappy and tenacious and creative. And we have at least like 18 months or so to try to bridge that gap through a mixture of grants, through a mixture of going back to public partners, private campaigns, or creative solutions with like parceling a part of the farm.
Hello, everyone. April McEwen, project manager of the Kelly Creek Mount Hood Community College dam removal. So our funding strategy is very robust, and we cannot scale any part of the major portions of the project that would be capitalized. So effectively, if there was no Metro funding, the project would effectively be abandoned. Probably not the word we would choose to use, but this is just has the Metro funding as core to making this project happen. And just specifically on that 2029 project construction completion, we are on track with this full funding amount to reach that goal.
Thank you. And I know we had Micah just provide testimony on that question. I think Councilor Nolan, that was satisfied during their testimony. So
I think I agree, unless he wants to be definitive. I don't know if he's still online.
Okay, we'll give it a few seconds for them to raise their hands. But after this, we will begin our, I'll ask for a formal motion, so we can begin our discussion. Councilor Palacios, do you have a question or a comment as well?
Yeah, I have a follow-up question for Working Theory Farms, if they can pop back up.
And we do have Micah on.
Yes, just to confirm, a partial funding, we would stay committed to the project. With
Thank you,
partial
Micah.
funding.
Thank you, Micah.
Thanks, Micah. Working Theory team?
Yeah, sorry. My follow-up question is that you mentioned that the partial funding works for you all, that you're scrappy and will find the remaining gap. That was speaking directly to the recommended 3 million that we put out. I think the question that Councilor Nolan had was if there was a change to that initial, how would that impact your project?
Thanks for the clarification, Councilor Palacios. I think a decrease from that recommended 3 million increases the likelihood of that creative solution that I mentioned at the very end, which is we'd ideally like to preserve all 24 acres of this splendid farm, creek restoration area, cedar and fir. That said too, like we're realists at the end of the day and want to preserve as much as we can. So if we received a smaller award and weren't able to bridge that funding gap by going back to public partners, private fundraising, other things, we'd consider, along with the city of Hillsborough, Metro, and the landowners, all of whom we've checked in a little bit about this, the possibility of parceling off one of those pastures that were on the east or west side for development to bring in some more funds to preserve part of this. So we'd love to preserve all, but a smaller award would increase the likelihood of having to think outside the box.
And just to add, I think we had this conversation a bit previously, but the existential question of this funding, this is a once in a lifetime this is a single opportunity we have to secure this land and continue the programming here. The alternative is obviously that we lose access to land. Programming that we're doing now, with donations we've made, those things can cease to exist. This isn't a question of delaying a project that doesn't happen.
Okay, thank you. I'm going to move our meeting forward. Council, thank you for your patience and your deliberation as we examine every single opportunity available to us. I will now entertain a motion for resolution number 26-5578, our large scale community vision funding.
I move adoption.
All right, moved by Councilor Simpson. Can I get a second?
Second, Nolan seconds.
All right, thank you. So we have a motion by Councilor Simpson, a second by Councilor Nolan. My understanding is that there may be some amendments on the table, so I will entertain those at this point in time.
Council President Gonzalez, I would like to propose an amendment to Exhibit A, Resolution 26-5578. For the purpose of the amendment is to change the funding distribution as specified in Appendix A. So I move to amend Exhibit A, Resolution 26-5578 as follows, which is also available in today's meeting packet. For Working Theory Farms, strike 3 million and replace it with 1,645,000. For Ash Creek Nature Link Project, Metzger, strike 1,500,000 and replace it with 3,855,000 in full value, and no change to the Kelly Creek, and strike the East Horton Nature Center in its entirety.
All right, thank you. Thank you, Councilor. I will ask for a second in a minute, but just to think at a high level, the purpose of proposed amendments is to, do you want to describe it? And get it back up.
The purpose of the amendment is to basically go back to the original recommendation from the review committee with the allocation of the remainder of the $8 million available to Working Theory Farms.
All right, thank you, Councilor Rosenthal, for taking your time to craft this amendment. I now need to ask for a second from the council for it to be further discussed and deliberated. For a second. Okay, Councilor Rosenthal, unfortunately, I do not see a second in the council. Unfortunately, this motion fails to move forward. Council, we will go back to the original motion on the table, which is to adopt resolution number 26-5578. Is there any discussion or any comments on this? And we've heard significantly from the public. We've spent several hours discussing this in multiple work sessions as well. So I definitely welcome your reflections. We'll go first to Councilor Wong, then Councilor Nolan, and then after Councilor Simpson. Call on you each. Thanks, Councilor Wong.
Thank you. Remember this time. Thank you, President Gonzalez. All great projects, and and I spent the last work session trying to find some more resources, and I think the only viable option was accelerating the timeline on the capital grants. So there is enough resource within the 2019 Parks and Nature Bond. I think it's just a timelines that we've set. So I'm wondering if maybe John or the staff could talk about what it would mean to accelerate the next round of capital grants. Just trying to see if there's any possibility, because we eliminated interest, we eliminated all sorts of different options. We got it.
Thank you, Councilor Wong. And I might have to call on staff a little bit closer to this. Turner, I think the question would be clear. Is you're looking to accelerate the timeline for the program as is, or are you looking specifically for these opportunities to fund specific projects? Because is the competitive grant process takes a lot of time and work. Krista Gardner here is just trying to wrap up the current round. So I guess I want to just make sure I'm clear.
Yeah, I mean, from my understanding, it is kind of process with a citizen review committee and all that. I mean, I think we should keep all those, but just accelerate the timeline. I know it's more stress on staff, who's just done amazing work on these projects. But I think we have an opportunity to meet some potential deadlines for our partners if we're willing to put in the work. So I'm just wondering if that's possible.
Many things are possible. I think I could let Krista opine a little bit on what a potential acceleration looks like, given the time, energy, things that are in the bond resolution too that are required for us to do, and just making sure also that you have a thorough process that gets quality incoming grants, applications, and all those pieces. Krista, maybe you've heard this question and been thinking about it.
Hi, thank you for the question. For the Nature and Neighborhoods Capital Grants, we generally start soliciting through direct emails and general social media and other outreach about 4 months prior to the pre-application or letter of interest deadline in January. So normally we begin that process in September. So what my timeline looks like in the fall is generally working on contracts for the 2026 awards in this case, and soliciting those applications to come in January. For example, this year we had $17.7 million worth of grant funding requests, and the awards today were for $9.8 million.
So roughly it's about a 9 to 12 month process that we take to do all the solicitation, gathering those ideas, getting the committee together. But if we do less solicitation, less outreach, try to ramp up some of the turnover time between pre-applications being due and applications, as well as grant committee review. But that might put also stress on things like, I don't know, what's the shortest amount of time we could run a successful capital grants program. Knowing that you don't have to commit to anything permanent or official, just giving some rough order of magnitude for them to think about.
Normally we have a 9 to 12 month time period. We potentially could shorten that to between 6 and 9 months. I think would be doable.
I think just before we leave, I also want to flag that might have some unintentional implications as well. And you mentioned it in terms of the applications we might get in or the process we go through. What you've seen today earlier on those grants is a culmination of a really effective process Parks and Nature has put together. And I want to make sure that we don't unintentionally harm that process by accelerating things. So certainly this council's direction to look into that and do that, figure out what the shortest time frame might be. But we would also want to look into what some of the downsides of it is.
Yeah, I mean, I would entertain and I do apologize for putting staff under pressure. But like what an accelerated timeline plan could look like and any additional capacity or resources to execute that. If that's something that John, your department could bring a proposal for in the coming weeks, I would love to look at that.
So, Director Blasher, so you're going to answer. I think Councilor Wong, absolutely hear you. I'll work with our legislative staff and with our departments to make sure that we bring something back to the council for further deliberation. And that feels right, and to understand the pros and cons of shifting your timeline. But absolutely hear the intention of your question, and we'll pursue it to its full extent. So we'll go next to Councilor Nolan, then Councilor Simpson, and then I see Councilor Palacios as well as signaled me. So Councilor Nolan.
Thanks, President Gonzalez. I am really blown away by the variety of proposals we've had and the level of passion and commitment that the sponsors bring to their proposals. And I want to thank them all for participating in making their proposals. I also want to compliment my colleagues, because from my 5 years on the council, the deliberations we have undertaken under your gavel, Mr. President, around this issue have been the most candid, the most engaged, the most respectful of differing opinions. And I am hoping this is precedent for the way we are doing business going out into the future. Having said that, I also think the process we've gone through is spot on. We had professional reviews of people who made recommendations, and then the council, as the elected policymakers, reviewed those, is recommending in this resolution adopting some of them in whole cloth and adjusting some of them. And I think that's how professional recommendations and elected governance should interact. So overall, Mr. President and colleagues, a fabulous process for this, as well as staff. I need to give kudos to our staff as well as the staff of the organizations that have proposed. And given that we have worked it so openly and so respectfully, I am very pleased to support the recommendation that came out of our last work session.
Councilor Nolan, Councilor Simpson, and then we'll go to Councilor Palacios after.
Thank you, President Gonzalez. I'm a yes today. I want to thank you all. This is annoying.
Always keep it on.
Oh, great. I also want to thank the voters of this region for approving the 2019 Parks and Nature Fund and giving Metro the opportunity to make these investments and do this incredible work. So thank you all. I'm especially excited about this Kelly Creek dam project removal. Got dams? Well, not anymore. I hope so. The ecological benefits of removing this dam are significant, but the project will also provide hands-on learning and career building opportunities for students like Jordan. It's not every day that we get the opportunity to remove a dam, and that's something we should all celebrate, no matter what part of the region. At the same time, we also need to acknowledge the projects that are not being funded today or partially funded. I think we all agree that these projects have merit and that we are forced to make difficult decisions with limited funding and what is likely the final round of our large-scale grants. A tremendous amount of work has gone into all of these proposals, and we've asked communities to think big, dream big, and bring us visionary projects that support parks, nature, while also creating strong partnerships and delivering community and economic benefits. That's exactly what we did. The Vance project, however, I do want to uplift it because it is intertwined in the decision that we made today. It is also in my district. The community has been talking about this project for more than a decade, but in recent years, it's gained significant momentum. And the opportunity is about much more than restoring a former quarry and remediating a brownfield site. It's an opportunity to address longstanding inequities and access to parks and nature while advancing comprehensive community vision that integrates parks, housing, economic opportunity, and community connectivity. This is a generational opportunity, all of these. It's an opportunity that I do not want to see missed, and one that this council should not be allowed to miss. As much as I love the show Parks and Recreations, we can't keep talking about turning this pit into a park. We need to get it done. So today I want to go on the record, and I'm prepared to bring a resolution back to this council if necessary. But given these strategic community development projects with far-reaching impacts on our communities and economy, I would like to direct staff to work with projects that did not receive funding or receive partial funding today to address the issues identified by the review committee, so they are well-positioned and competitive for what I have been told will be our final round of capital grants funding. We are preparing for our last bite at the funding apple with the Parks Fund. And with so many deserving projects, I want us to be strategic with the limited amount of funds that are remaining. We should do everything we can to maximize these benefits for our communities and deliver the greatest possible return for our region. Thank you, President.
Thank you, Councilor Simpson. Also, heard a request from staff there, similarly to the President Council Rule 4, bringing something back, and probably in a package work session at this point to evaluate, opportunities going forward for all of us. I'll go to Councilor Palacios, and then Councilor Lewis, and then Councilor Rosenthal.
Thank you, President. This is a request comment to John and Andrew. That presentation about opportunities that we could have around the other capital grants. When we have that presentation, we'd love for it to also include the unintended consequences that might be seen by staff, as well as additional information about outreach plan, both for the current period of that 9 to 12 month process and the potential of something around the 6 to 9 month process. I'm interested in knowing what that impact could be in terms of also potential applicants. I know that we've had grant cycles for grants like the 2040 grant where there has been no applicant for cycle 3 on that grant. So I'd be really interested in just what the plan would be to ensure that we have people applying, especially with a reduced potential timeline.
Great, thank you, Councilor. We'll take note. Looks like we have a fun work session brewing. Let's see, Councilor Lewis, and then I think we'll wrap up with Councilor Rosenthal.
Sure, thank you. I just want to celebrate the vision that is coming to fruition as we advance forward projects. The large scale community visions bucket was the new innovation back in 2019, where we as council looked at missed opportunities of the past, said we wanted funds at our availability so that we weren't missing opportunities to be a catalyst in the future for big things that wouldn't happen, but for strategic investment. A strategic investment that really realized the connection to community and specifically working to uplift investments that were otherwise just seen as transportation investments or economic development investments or housing investments, but to put forward a way that we could nature up all of our visions for how we want to redevelop. I really appreciate that the Working Theory Farm project has checked the box not only of viability and bringing into public ownership land that we will lose for delivering important social services and job training and job skills in the future, if but for these dollars. They're also checking the box for us of working weekends, something that we also committed to in 2019, but outside of this opportunity, I think would go pretty much without investment by this bond. So checks off kind of multiple things that I feel we committed to in 2019. And then obviously the full investment of dam removal. You can't half remove a dam. I guess you could, but then you still have a dam. You have a channel of sorts. So for me, it just feels like this is one place where we really need to be out there celebrating. I know we're feeling down right now after this kind of tone of discussion. But there's over 1,000 dams in Oregon, and large scale community visions bucket alone is going to knock out 2. Because remember, we did the Kellogg, so or we are doing the Kellogg. We're not done yet. So I think that's something we can take some pretty intense ownership of. And then lastly, we have really gone out over the past near decade to talk about what 82nd Avenue can look like in the future. And that is not one government alone. That is the state legislatures had the discussion. That is the state of Portland's had the discussion. We've had jurisdictional transfer of 82nd Avenue. We've led a project to make sure that we can have a frequent and reliable bus service that moves people through that most used corridor in the region. It is on us to make good on the community benefits. This is not just a high capacity transit corridor. This is a place where people live and linger. And $1 million is a small investment of hopefully more to come to make sure that people can linger in nature and not just. So that is why I stand by the 3 projects in the proposal. That said, I love what I've been learning over the past week about Ash Creek. And want to see us as counselors all dig in alongside staff to use every single lever we have to meet this kind of 3-year window to deliver this project.
Counselor, I appreciate that. Counselor Rosenthal?
Thank you to Chair Gonzalez. First of all, I want to say that the large scale community visions is really a visionary project. When it first started and I was on the review committee, it was very complicated and we had to change things. At the first time, we actually didn't get enough, but I guess we've been overly successful in getting people to start thinking of large scale community visions, but now we have many more requests than we have funding. These are all good projects. I wish we could fund them all. But in the process of reviewing the first tranche of money, we decided that we had to simplify the process a little bit, or I should streamline it a little bit. And we turned it primarily over to a staff review committee. We gave them criteria. We've been very, very clear on the kind of priorities. We gave it to them and they made recommendations. Now, the working session we had last week was a very interesting working session. It was a bit of an experiment, actually, because we had not done that before. So we came up with great intentions. We wanted to compromise. We wanted to see if we could fund more projects rather than fewer, and we could give them all a head start. As it turns out, we can't give them all a head start. A couple of them, if we didn't give them the money, we would basically give them an end of the project kind of thing. Now, we have a commitment to look for ways of accelerating additional funding, but we also have a very high risk for a very high project. So we have gone against what we have told our staff to review them and to come up with the highest priority. We did come up with those priorities that included both the Kelly Creek as well as the Ash Creek projects. We have since changed our minds. My assumption is it was based on incomplete information at the time we had our experimental debate. So I'm quite disappointed that we have not seen fit to go back and actually relook at this. We have, and like I said, I support all the projects. I would like to see the project on 82nd go forward. I would like to see some support for the working theory farms. We just don't have the money to do them all. I'd like to see the OMSI project go forward. I'd like to see the Albina project go forward. They're uncertain about those. So in all, unfortunately, this latest round takes away from the congratulatory or the celebratory attitude from the earlier part of the meeting. So that's my view.
Thank you. Thank you, Councilor Rosenthal, for your reflections, and to the entire council. Thank you. I have some short points that I'd like to hit, some quick remarks, and then we'll go to a formal vote here. So we have a motion on the table. I want to thank the audience for those that are with us today, but also have participated in previous council work sessions and discussions on large scale community vision, but also the many other grant programs that the council is taking action on today. One thing that you can always be confident about going forward, and in the last few weeks, this Metro Council is incredibly committed to active democracy, to very intentional conversation and debate, and for us to deliberate about where the region should be going, where we should be investing in open, transparently, and accountable to the public. You might have experienced that some of that today with the way that we were working back and forth with staff and trying to figure out next steps for our work. And I just want to thank you for your patience and watching us. I guess you could say that watch the sausage get made of governance. On large scale community visions, we have so many exceptional proposals. Some of the council has talked about them. Some of them that are up for consideration, some of them that are not. I want to thank the region. I want to thank incredible Oregonians that have taken the time to piece together ideas and opportunities for investment. I also think there's been extraordinary and wonderful work from our staff, building relationships with communities, sifting through mountains of documents and technical work to give a recommendation to the council for us to make a decision, and I really thank our staff. I think that we have some of the best staff in the entire state working at Metro. And, you know, this council took hours and hours of deliberation on these grants. And I know that the action that we're taking today is one that was met through, you know, a significant amount of effort and leaving no stone unturned. And lastly, again, I think this would not also be possible without the dedicated effort of project applicants, community members that poured their hearts literally into these projects, your advocacy, your emails, your testimony. Just know that this council received them, that we reviewed them, that we contemplated them very seriously, and ultimately, you know, we landed on this decision. And I hope that we're able to have many more celebrations going forward. So all of that being said, council, we have a motion on the table with a second on resolution number 26-5578. Seeing no further conversation or discussion with the council, I will ask Georgia to call the roll on that motion.
Yes. Counselor Nolan.
Yes.
Counselor Lewis.
Aye.
Counselor Wong.
Aye.
Counselor Rosenthal.
No vote.
Counselor Simpson.
Aye.
Counselor Palacios. Council President Gonzalez.
Yes. Thank you, Georgia, and thank you, council. The motion passes. It's a $1 million investment. Round of applause for 2020. Wonderful. Counselor, this wraps up a very successful day of supporting our regional partners in conservation and access to nature. This was funded by voters of the region who approved the 2019 Parks and Nature Bond. I'll add that any of you may know that the region-wide engagement for Future Vision, which is a project that Metro is working on right now, that residents, their top value, the thing that connects us the most as Oregonians, not just now, but in the next 50 years, is our connection to nature. And for me, and I believe for that this council today underscores some key themes that align with the value of nature in our daily lives, in our neighborhoods, in our communities, in the way that our families interact with it. We are relying on science to prioritize needed investment in water quality, to protect habitat, to ensure that we are hedging against wildfire. Nature is something in our region that is also close to home. It is not something out there in the great beyond. And that is what makes this one of the most special places in the entire world, and I think the best place to live in North America. The Parks and Nature program has delivered on our promises to voters for decades, and everything Metro is able to do depends on strong partnerships with park providers, community members, and conservation organizations, and many of you in the audience that have joined us today. We've had quite a bit of conversation, and I know that we have some warm food out there waiting for us. So I'm going to move to Chief Operating Officer Communication. And Andrew, if there's anything that you have for us.
Thank you, President Gonzalez. I actually was going to take 60 seconds and say some thank yous, but you hit most of them in your closing remarks about the grant. So I will just echo what you said. Thanks to council for taking this process so seriously. You've approved some incredibly important projects. And I really want to thank staff, as you already have, but it is such an incredible amount of work to get to this point. And then obviously the community members, who applied. And that includes, we have some really big grants that are going to be transformative, all the way down to some of those really small grants, which I think will be equally transformative, just in very different ways. The engagement we've had with folks in these grant programs, particularly the community choice grants, I think is really exciting. So I just want to thank council and thank staff and thank you.
Thank you, Andrew. We'll open it up for any final councilor communication, any updates that we have for each other. Okay, council, I know that staff would like for us to take some photos together with community members. I understand there might be a tour or some kind of walking around of the facility potentially. That's what I have in my notes. So please explore this amazing Concord Community Center and Park. And of course, we invite you to break bread with us. We have some lunch right outside of the meeting hall. No further communication from the council or from staff. It is my great pleasure to adjourn this meeting. The next regular meeting for the Metro Council